What you here for? Strictly business. Yeah. You want a job or get rich? I'm bossed up. 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 Got boss in my IV. Just check my ID, and that's why I be the HNIC. People despise me. My services ain't free. Ain't trying to hear your story, homie. Cop me, no please. In high school, corner, quarterback. Nowadays, corner, quarter sack. Keep that on the low. Rappers turning into rats. Fly snitching on they self. DEA ransack.
What's good, everybody? Sorry for the delay. As you can see, the D-back ran away from the conversation. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. The DB ran away. I'm joking. I'm joking. Mulich had some work issues. He couldn't work out, couldn't make it today. So we had the Audible. We had the Omaha this. So it's just me and GQ here. How you doing, brother? I heard you got the same type of weather we got. No.
I wish. We have the opposite of weather that y'all have. It's still hot as shit over here, and I want the rain y'all got. I need that.
Yeah, we got.
It's been dumb.
Yeah, we got rain, wind, and thunderstorms and everything else. So apologies. We wanted to get into the DB versus wide receiver conversation. Can't do it without the DB. So we're going to put that on hold until further notice. Probably be next week. It'll be next week. We'll definitely tap into that.
Right, we'll have a loaded show next week anyway.
Yeah. Plus, there was a couple people in the comments that wanted to come on the show and talk about different things anyway. So next week's show might be explosive. A lot of people still upset about the Darrelle Revis stuff.
They just can't.
Another guy wanted to debate me on the DB wide receiver stuff. So hey, I was just waiting for him to hit me back in the DM. He never did it, but that's normally how that works. We're not worried about that. But other than that, we here. So we did have Joe Montana today. Well, the other day. And he gave his take on who the greatest quarterback of all time was. And he said Dan Marino. Hold on one second. I'm trying to. Well, the other day. And he gave his take on who the greatest quarterback of all time was. Did not know that was going to happen. Okay, there we go. My bad. So he said Dan Marino was the greatest quarterback in his opinion of all time. And Michael Wilbon and my man Tony Kornheiser, I love Tony Kornheiser. They shared their opinions on it. I'm asking, how do you feel about it?
Respectfully, I disagree. Okay. I'm gonna start with that. Now, I hate when we have this conversation because I think it's a very vague thing when you say the greatest of all time. Now, if you want to say that Dan Marino was one of the greatest thrower of the football, I'm not going to argue that. I'm cool with that. I'll live with that because the man was phenomenally accurate. Like there's no denying the greatness of Dan Marino, but his greatness did not translate into team success as far as Super Bowls go. He had one appearance as young, very early in his career, and he never sniffed another Super Bowl after that. But he was a quarterback he was a part of that floodgate opening quarterback that was throwing for 4,000 and 5,000 yard seasons like it was nothing. Like it was like clockwork. It was nothing. So, like I said, his greatness was on full display. But what did it equate to? What did it add to as far as the team? It's not like he was playing on bad teams. Not all those Dolphins teams he played on were bad. Like there were some really talented Dolphins teams that he played on. They just never got back to the Super Bowl after the first time.
Right. And where I go with this is I don't like when people say, well, he was the greatest passer of all time. It's ridiculous. It's like when people call Steph Curry the greatest shooter of all time.
Okay.
Being called the greatest passer of all time, well, what is the main purpose of a quarterback?
Throw the ball.
Pass the damn ball. You know what I'm saying? But I can separate the two. And I think this is where a lot of the conversations when it comes to me and the Megatrons and the Revises and stuff like that, you can be uber talented and not be the greatest of all time.
100%. There are lots of great players. That's why you're great. But the greatest of all time, there's levels to this.
Right. And it comes down to accomplishments. What did you do in your time in the league? Like,
yeah, and that's it. And that's the thing. Like with certain players, they were only good for an earshot. Like, oh, okay, you were good for 2 or 3 years, but what about, and you played 15 years. Okay, what happened the other 12 years of your career? Like, what did you do?
Right.
Like, you can't be great and then be irrelevant. Like, then you're no longer in the conversation of being the greatest. It's not how that works. Greatness is a sustained thing. Even somebody like Tom Brady, you knew it when they won that first Super Bowl. You're like, okay, this guy's on his way up. And it continued. Even when they weren't winning Super Bowl, his greatness continued to do this. And then they started winning again. That's why he won in multiple time periods. A guy like Peyton Manning, yeah, he had a shitty rookie year, but then he blew up after that. Like, there was no confusion on who Peyton Manning was. Yeah, he threw a ton of picks as a rookie, but he also set the rookie passing record simultaneously. But then he followed that up with a lot of success with the Colts. Like, we missed the boat on some greatness when we talk about a guy like Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck was on that path too, but then the sacks started adding up, the injuries started adding up, and it derailed his career. He was on the path, but we don't talk about Andrew Luck as being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time because his career was too short.
And then then they also got into, they were saying how he may be, well, they were talking about talent.
Okay.
And they were talking about how Steve Young is more talented. This one is more talented. John Elway was more talented. And I was like, well, talent doesn't make you the better quarterback, because I will argue there aren't two more talented quarterbacks in the history of the NFL than Randall Cunningham and Michael Vick.
Yeah, we're playing that game. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, like there's their talent between their arm strength, accuracy, the way that they could run with the ball. You can't name quarterbacks better than those two guys.
No. Now, if you want to start talking about like, oh, this quarterback had a stronger arm than this one, now I'll give you something. That's something to stand on, because not all quarterbacks can throw the same distances. But does that equate to greatness? Cool, I can go 80 yards, but how accurate is that 80 yards? When does it start to wobble? When does it start to fall? How much air is underneath that ball? But let's play it this way. Like, let's look at a guy like we just talked about. Let's look at a guy like Tom Brady's career, right? We looked at it across his entire career. How many times did people say, oh, Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback we've ever seen, or best thrower of the football? Oh, Peyton Manning is this. Oh, Ben Roethlisberger this, or oh, this quarterback. But the factor, no matter, never changed. Tom Brady was still that guy.
Right. Like, and that's the thing. It's like, when we talk, like I said, your accomplishments mean something. This is why I don't like the conversation of people saying, "Oh, well, you can't talk Super Bowls and wins can't go to quarterbacks." Then what are we talking about?
Why not?
Like, it doesn't make sense.
It's a team stat, but it's still a quarterback stat, because if you're a great player, you do things in spite of the situation. Most recently, Joe Burrow made it to the Super Bowl in spite of his trash offensive line.
Exactly.
Like greatness is what it is. Greatness is you will overcome shortfalls and deficiencies. The Chiefs, when they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl, their offensive line was terrible. But Patrick Mahomes willed that team to the Super Bowl, and they just so happened to run into the wrong buzzsaw at the wrong time. But it didn't stop the greatness of Patrick Mahomes getting to that Super Bowl.
I mean, we put wins on quarterbacks, because who's normally the first overall pick in the draft?
It's normally quarterbacks. If it's not quarterbacks, it's some outlier of a defensive player.
Yeah, that's complete. But normally the reason why that defensive player went higher is because the team who was drafting already had the quarterback.
Yeah. But most times, it's 100% quarterbacks. It's just how the game is set up. But the reason I have no problem now, if you want to tell me, I'll give you the argument if you want to say regular season wins for quarterbacks don't matter, but I will say playoff wins matter.
I think all wins, because
I do too, but I'll buy it if people just really want to play that team game. But for me, playoff success, like greatness to me, is for a quarterback, it should be playoff success is important.
That's where we separate everybody.
Yes, because now there's no more, and I'm saying this in the nicest way possible. Like, there's no more scrubs in the playoffs. Like this is your top teams make it to the playoffs. Yes, we know those weird situations where like the Seahawks made it in with a losing record. The Bucks before made it in with a losing record. But for the most part, scrubs don't make it into the playoffs. So you're playing the best teams, the best talent, the best quarterbacks, the best defenses, or, you catch a team like the Giants that caught fire at the right time, but you're still playing against the best teams. So how do you measure up? So for me, playoff success is big, which is why we talk about a guy like Rodgers who has a losing playoff record. Because
that's why he can't be put in those conversations.
You've made it to the NFC Championship multiple times. You complain, we're always on the road, but then you had a home NFC Championship game and you still lost.
Exactly.
But then, and even when a guy like Mahomes was on his way up, he still lost to Tom Brady in the AFC Championship. Tom Brady is the only quarterback that's beaten him in the playoffs and in the Super Bowl for now.
Yep.
And that's a big deal because now, granted, whatever circumstances you want to put, because people like to put asterisks on anything the Patriots do these days, but whatever. Say whatever you will, but playoff success is important. We talk about it with Peyton Manning all the time. Peyton Manning was a phenomenal regular season quarterback, but he had his playoff struggles big time. Mm-hmm. And when he finally got over that hump, we were like, all right, yeah. Like, we weren't diminishing Peyton Manning, the quarterback, but his playoff success was not measured up to the other guys.
We were waiting for him. Put it like this: John Elway.
Mm-hmm.
John Elway, prime example of somebody who was never we put John Elway in conversations. Honestly, he doesn't belong in. And I don't agree with that. He went to 5 Super Bowls, correct?
Yes,
5.
And lost quite a few.
He lost 3. He lost his first 3. He lost. Was it 2?
Well, he was a part of that. He was a part of that.
It was the NFC
blowout because he got blown out in one Super Bowl.
He lost to every team in the NFC East. He lost to the Giants. He lost to the Giants, Cowboys, and Washington. Correct.
He got massacred in 2 of those. Like they look like they had no business being there. The third loss, they were in the game and then they weren't in the game.
Mm-hmm. But people still consider John Elway like a top 5 quarterback. For what?
I don't do that. Not for
that
me.
last.
I will put. I can't put him in that top 5, and it's simply because, like, granted, he won his first Super Bowl very late in his career, but
on the back of Terrell Davis.
Yeah, 100%. Because we know what TD did in that, especially in that second Super Bowl, before all the injuries started to take over.
So, because that's the same way I view John Elway is kind of how I view Ben Roethlisberger. It's like you won 2 Super Bowls, but you were never the best guy on neither one of those Super Bowl teams.
Fair enough. And I'll buy that.
And that's how I see and view John Elway. Because John Elway, if he doesn't win those 2, and I hate playing the hypothetical what if games, it's stupid, and I know it, trust me, so don't beat me up in the chat. He's Dan Marino 2.0.
Yeah, only difference is he won.
Yeah, like
that's really a big difference. Because if you start when you start looking at quarterbacks that won Super Bowls, even just after him, like, would you take him over a guy like Kurt Warner?
Would I take John Elway over Kurt Warner?
Yeah. These are like, would you like?
No.
What about Troy Aikman?
I think they're the same guy.
You think so?
I think Elway, like I said, Elway more talented. Aikman knew what to do with talent.
I still think I would take Aikman in this conversation, but
that's fine.
I think just from the film watching, because my mom is a diehard Cowboys fan, so when I was a child, I was watching this stuff. My mom had these games on VHS. This is how I was able to watch it. I actually think that Aikman was the better quarterback. I think his accuracy and his release were ridiculous, and
that's what I mean.
And I think Aikman, just yes, he was put on we'll call it a loaded team, even though they drafted a lot of those players. You could have put Troy Aikman on a different team with similar weapons, and I think the result, I still think he wouldn't be the reason you lose Super Bowls. I definitely think he still could have taken a team to the Super Bowl and probably had success because he's not going to lose you a lot of games.
This is what I said with Troy Aikman, he knows what to do with talent. Because if you put it around him, he's not going to be the reason why you lose.
No, and to me, that's a quarterback trait that does not get talked about enough.
It's what happened with him in college.
Yeah.
He started off at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Jamel Holloway was at UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
They swapped.
Yeah.
Jamel Holloway, phenomenal Oklahoma career. Troy Aikman, dope college career at UCLA. Had they both stayed in those same places, neither one of them become who they are.
No, history is rewritten. History is rewritten, and for all we know, the Cowboys may not have any Super Bowls in the 90s for all we know. Now, granted, that team was extremely talented, so they could have had other quarterbacks, but we don't, like I said, we don't really play the what if game very often because it's just kind of, like you said, it's kind of dumb. But, just kind of going down this trend is like you start looking at quarterbacks after the Broncos, those quarterbacks that started coming up, and it's like,
let's play the game.
Like, let's play the game. So after that, okay, we had Kurt Warner, we had Troy Aikman. We're obviously, I know you're not going to take Trent Dilfer, so I'm not even going to ask you that dumbass question. But what about a guy like Ben Roethlisberger? What about Ben Roethlisberger?
Let's name the quarterbacks we would take over John Elway.
Ooh, well, I'll start with Dan Marino, 100%. I guarantee if you swap those two and put Dan Marino on those Broncos teams, a lot of them blowouts don't happen. I would stamp on that one. I would 100% stamp on because I do think Dan Marino was a better quarterback than John Elway, and that's not a knock on John Elway because I think he was a great quarterback, but I think Dan Marino was better.
I think Dan Marino suffered from crappy defenses.
I can live with that. I would take Doug Williams. I'll take Doug Williams.
I'll take Doug. I mean, that might be my personal bias sneaking it out because he was a Washington guy. I mean, it is what it is.
I just watched the film and I'm like, some of these guys, I just start thinking, how would these quarterbacks have performed with those? And I'm just plugging that quarterback into that same exact team. I'm not changing anything else but the quarterback. And I think Doug Williams would have absolutely had success in Denver with that team.
I'll give you another one. This is a weird one. Not a weird one, but it is what it is. I'm taking Phil Simms.
I'm not mad at you for that. Phil Simms, outside of guys like you and I, people really probably didn't watch a lot of film. Phil Simms was a good quarterback. Like Phil Simms, let me take that back.
I watched Phil Simms a lot, and I
think Phil Simms. Most people nowadays only see Phil Simms, the commentator on TV. Mm-hmm. They never really got to see him play. Mind you, he was playing before I was really into football, but I have the advantage of going back and watching film, and I thought Phil Simms played some pretty damn good quarterback.
I mean, if you go, it took what? How long before somebody broke his consecutive completion record in the Super Bowl? Because
the modern era. like it was
21 straight completions.
Yeah, it was something that stood the test of time. Like it literally just like the 2,000-yard rushing record stood the test. Like it stood the test of time. Like there's reasons why things like this happen, and you can go back and look at that game that we're talking about with Phil Simms, and it's not like he was playing a scrub when this happened. Like for a quarterback to complete consecutive plays like that says a lot about two things: the timing and the decision making.
And I'm trying to think, that was against Buffalo, wasn't it?
Yeah, but to make the correct decision 21 times in a row, that's just think about that. Like, just think about anything you would do in a normal setting. Like, most people can't make 21 jump shots in a row, 21 free throws, walk 21 straight steps on a straight line. Like, just start thinking about that. To have the thought process to make 21 correct reads and passes.
And you have more control over free throws and stuff than he does throwing a pass to somebody.
100%, because there's things like the elements. A defensive lineman could have put a thumb on it. A nail touches it. Anything, anything could have held. The receiver just could have dropped it. Let's just start with that. The easiest thing that could have happened. The receiver could have just dropped it.
Exactly.
But that's not what happened. But I like the Phil Simms. I would take Randall Cunningham.
Oh, easy. I'm taking Randall.
I would take Warren Moon.
Definitely.
Obviously, I would take a lot of the modern quarterback. I would take Peyton Manning. I would take
Peyton,
Rodgers. I would take Brady.
Rodgers.
Where it gets tricky? Here's one. I'm gonna ask you this one because this is where it could get a little murky. Would you take Phillip Rivers?
Yes.
Drew Brees is an obvious. I would take Drew Brees for sure. Oh, another one we forgot. Doug Flutie. I would take Doug Flutie.
Oh no, I'll take Doug. There's like a guy like Alex Smith, I would take.
That one I'd go back and forth with, but I understand why you would.
Because Alex Smith, for what people, he's just a winning quarterback. It's hard to.
What about McNabb?
That's a good one.
That is
that one.
They're very similar.
They're very similar. Murky.
I might the nod, the slight advantage I would give to McNabb is McNabb was more mobile.
Right. I'll go McNabb. I'll take McNabb. And I also say I think McNabb was slightly more accurate.
I'll live with that. I'm gonna throw a random one out there. What about Eli Manning?
I'm definitely taking Eli Manning.
All right. Hey, some people will, some people won't.
I'm an Eli guy though. I'm an Eli guy. I think Eli doesn't get enough credit for what he does, and I get it. Like the record doesn't show it and stuff like that. 100%. And I'm not going to argue with people if they wouldn't. I'm just saying, as far as Melvin goes, I'm doing it.
What about Chad Pennington?
Oh, loop-de-loop? No, I'm not doing that.
See, I'm just going. Look, I'll throw a controversial one out there. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No, I'm not doing it.
Because I don't know which one I'm gonna get. If I'm gonna get Fitzmagic or Fitztragic, I don't know.
That's you gonna crack. That's a pair of dice I don't want to roll. I would take Breeze.
I'm forgetting one that I was thinking about that I liked a lot.
From here we go.
I'm trying to keep it away from our newest cats. Like I'm really cutting it. I don't want to go any further than.
Would you take?
I don't want to go any further than, let's say, like the Matt Stafford class. I think that's that's fair.
I'm going back. Would you? All right. Here's one. What's his name? Bengals quarterback Palmer.
Oh, Carson Palmer. Yeah. That's a USC guy. Yeah. No, I like Carson. I like his issue was injuries late in his career that started to derail him. Like otherwise, I thought Carson Palmer, I thought him and Ocho was a phenomenal tandem. Like that was
Jim. I mean, I'm definitely gonna take Jim Kelly over him.
That's not a debate in my opinion.
Honestly, I think if we go back to that time frame, is John Elway honestly a top 10 quarterback back then?
Back then? Given who is still around,
because think you had Warren Moon, Aikman, Montana, Kelly. I'm trying to think who were the quarterbacks back then. You had Phil Simms.
That's Randall. 5 so far. You had Dan, but later in his career, Dan. You had Dan almost towards the end.
That was old Dan though.
Yeah, that's so it's like, That you had old Dan, that was old Doug.
Maybe.
At worst,
the lower ends.
At worst, he's 7 or 8. At worst, he's like 7 or 8.
Yeah,
and I'll stand on that. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'll all my old heads out there that were adults in the 90s when I was still a child, I have no problem. If you feel some type of way, we can argue. I'm just the fact.
Yeah, I would say because I'm thinking of who was playing quarterback back then. Yeah, so he's about 7 or 8.
Yeah, like
that's 7 or 8.
I have one more I wanted to throw at you just because it came to mind, and I was like, Steve McNair.
Oh, I'm taking Steve McNair. Yeah, that's easy. That's easy. I don't even got to think about that one. But also just getting back to like the crest of it all, your accomplishments, you can be highly accomplished and less talented and be talented and less accomplished. You have to have the accomplishments to be in the greatest of all time talk. I don't care how talented you are. Jeff George was super talented. No one talks about him as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We're not doing it. I
guarantee if you ask a guy like Aaron Rodgers, would he trade in all of his MVPs for one more Super Bowl? The answer would be yes.
Yes, 100%. Like, what he got, like 4 or 5 MVPs?
4. He's got 4. But why would you like? My thing is, if you play the game of football in general, why is Super Bowl championship not? To me, I could go through my entire NFL career with 0 individual awards whatsoever, and I get 1 Super Bowl. My career is.
The goal is to win the Super Bowl. That's what you go to practice for.
Yeah, like I don't care about the All Pros. the Pro Bowls, like, cool. You know what? If you consider me top 10 in my position, cool. But did my team win the Super Bowl? I don't care. Because I want the Super Bowl at the end of the day. Like, I want to be known as a champion. Point blank, period.
That's it. That's
why
it.
else would you do anything? Like, that's like me saying, oh, yeah, I ran track my whole life, but I don't have but I don't have any gold medals to show for it. Like.
You have to, we might have to talk about that.
You see where I'm going, huh? Yeah.
Okay. Let's do it. Let's go there. Everybody. So we all know the Noah Lyles situation and what he said.
No, she's been right here in my view.
But the semantics of it is what the problem is for me. Like, I get it. He races against other countries, and yes, they wear their flags. 100%, totally get it. But this is for me. The World Championship of track and field is like, I put it up on my Facebook. It's like somebody in summer league running around saying they won the championship and bragging about it. Like, we get it. You won. You worked your ass off to win. But your goal, your main championship is the Olympics.
Yes.
And the last time you ran in the Olympics, Noah Lyles, you got bronze. So you are not a world champion, really. I get it. You won gold at the World Championships. But I want you to go win gold at the Olympics. Beat the Jamaicans. Win gold at the Olympics. If you win gold at the Olympics, you can talk you can talk all the mess, and I will back it up.
The only issue I have with everybody, like, kind of dragging Noah Lyles with that is because Greg Popovich said the same thing in 2010, and nobody batted an eye.
Okay,
like, there's legitimately a quote from Greg Popovich in 2010, and he said the exact same thing minus 3 or 4 of those words, and no one combated that whatsoever. Because, see, the thing, like, and I don't know if it's because it was Pop that said it or what, but I mean, I understand.
You know what it is? Like, coming from a basketball guy, I guess is more digestible. Noah Lyles sent out strays for no reason. Like, no one asked him that. He just
they did kind of come out of left field.
Like, he loaded up and started shooting at the NBA for no reason. Like, no one. The question was about, how did you prepare for the, for the World Championships, and what do you see in your future? And then he just cocked back and started shooting at the NBA for no reason. It was just crazy.
Then he shot at one of the pettiest NBA players. When you start talking, how KD is sensitive. So, you got to be careful.
Right. So, I mean, look, go win gold in the Olympics, and then you can back it up. Because if you go to Olympics and you don't win gold, I'm gonna tell you this right now: if the men's basketball team wins gold, and you're gonna hear a whole lot of nest. That's all I'm saying.
I will say this upcoming U.S. track team looks really, really good, especially that 4x4. Like, I won't be surprised if there's a lot of gold. We bring in shot putters and discus cats that's winning, and that's huge. That's something we haven't had in a long time for the U.S. specifically. So I think we'll have a good showing. Sha'Carri showing her ass in a good way. So we have some opportunities to go put on a show, and that's all I say that as a track coach. That's what I always told my track teams.
That's what I said. I'm letting you. This your portion right here.
And I always tell them, I said, listen, we're not here. We're not here to run. We're not here to jump. We're not here to throw. Obviously, that's what you're here to do. I said, no, we're here to put on a show. You put all the work in practice. It's time to put on a show. Show everybody what you've been working towards. This is where you go get your PRs. This is where you go break records. This is where you go put on a show. Point blank, period.
Yeah,
that's why I love track so much, because it's the craziest individual / team sport that's out there. Because in my mind, and I've said this even being, because like me, my background being I'm a middle school coach, but I tell all my middle school athletes, like, yeah, maybe you weren't an A-team athlete in football or basketball, but I said, listen, track's a level playing field. And it really is. You may not be the fastest, but maybe you're a better jumper. Maybe you're a better thrower. You have a chin. Maybe you're a better hurdler. Like, there is more of an opportunity for you to showcase something of a talent. And you don't have to necessarily be the fastest. You just got to be the fastest in that race. You just have to have the best. There's so many little things in track that can go right or wrong. A bad start could lose you a race, especially in 100. But like in the 2 and the 4, you have time to kind of make up ground. But in the relay, you could do just like the women's 4x4 did and drop that baton, and that's the end of the race. Like you're like, oh crap, this whole race is over. All that work, and now you don't even have a chance to compete because you done dropped the baton.
Yep. And it's like I said, I mean, with no allows, I get it. Totally understand it.
Yeah, like I'm not bad at it. I'm like it should
don't. You got till next summer. Get it right. But everybody's gonna be watching. That's the thing. Everybody's gonna be watching.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
You just make sure you win gold. Because if you don't, it's gonna be a lot of shit talking.
Oh, and it's gonna come from the NBA players.
Oh, it's definitely coming from the NBA.
It's gonna come from KD and KD's burner account.
Most definitely. So let's get. We got NFL starting up this week. It's like Christmas for sports fans.
Shoot, we got college first.
We definitely gonna touch on college. Coach Prime got some things going on in Colorado. We're gonna touch on next week once I get a little bit more information on it. We'll get into a lot of talk. There was a comparison that somebody made that this was really stupid. They said Caleb Williams is a combination. Yes, was a combination of Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, and there was a third quarterback. I cannot remember who it was.
I don't buy a single of those comparisons. I just don't. I don't.
That's in my head. I don't know.
We've had this discussion. We've kind of touched on this whole Caleb Williams thing. Like they're like anointing this guy without him doing anything. Like he like USC hasn't even been in the Final Four for the college football playoff, and we're just like anointing this guy like he's about to just take the NFL by storm. Like last time I checked, Patrick Mahomes still the king right now, and Caleb Williams ain't finna come in and challenge that throne. Like he's not. I really do hate how we do this to college quarterbacks because just like follow me, folks. It's like we did this last week. GQ did this thing, right? We called it the what if. So I have another what if. I've been preparing this one because I was watching it. I had watched some film, and I don't like doing stuff like this often, but when it comes to college quarterbacks, I will. So what if Drake May is the better quarterback, but he's not being talked about as if he's going to be the number one guy next year? There's more when you look at the film of both of these quarterbacks, Drake May versus Caleb Williams. Drake May is a better natural thrower of the football than Caleb Williams is. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams is the gunslinger or I'm about to get sacked. Let me launch, kind of that Josh Allen type of thing. But what does that lead to for Josh Allen most times? Interceptions. We've got film on Caleb Williams in a big game getting his ass handed to him. Utah owns this guy. Utah. Of all the schools in the country, Utah. You had your fingernails painted and everything, and Utah got in your ass. Mind you, Drake May goes to North Carolina, and you know how we feel about
fingernails.
Yeah, but you know how we feel about North Carolina quarterbacks, but Mac Brown is there. So it's a little different, and that's why. But when you watch the mechanics, and I watched a lot of this because I was just curious, and then it's ironic when I was watching it, they were talking about on the herd earlier today too. When you watch his natural motions, he's just natural. He cranked the hips, and it's such a natural throwing motion. Like it's an effortless throw for a guy like Drake May, but he's not being talked about as if he's as talented. Mostly probably attributed because of the school he goes to and everything else. But do not be surprised if Drake May ends up being the better quarterback. Just going to say it like that. Because you get a guy like Drake May in the draft, and all of a sudden, let's say he falls to somebody like the Atlanta Falcons, because I don't think Desmond Ritter's that guy. That's just me. I don't have a lot of belief in Desmond Ridder, but he'll be fine as a bridge for this year and parts of next season. But I think his heir apparent's coming. But if you get a guy like Drake May, who I think is a much better overall quarterback than he is for now, that Atlanta Falcons team could take off. I could see Drake May going to a team like yours and the Commanders. The Commanders are one dynamic quarterback away from being a very explosive team.
This is what I was going to say.
They have all the components you need to make the leap. And that's not a knock on Sam Howell, but he's not that dynamic quarterback. That's why I had to make sure I preface that. He's not that. He's a good quarterback. He's fine. He's a good platform thrower. And for those who don't watch enough football, just look it up. He's a really good platform thrower. Even if he's off platform, he'll get the ball out, but it's not as pretty. He's much better he rolls out, he sets his feet, and the ball's gone. Like, he's a really good platform thrower. He goes back. You go look at him in college. So it's the same. It's never really changed.
But I think that point right there, that's where I was going to go. Was probably going to hurt Drake May is the same reason why I don't like Ohio State quarterbacks. The history of North Carolina quarterbacks, not good.
It's not, but that's why I said this is where the Mac Brown thing for me kind of comes into play, because you watch his movements. He's still good rolling out the pocket, and he's still good at throwing receivers open, which we don't. Sometimes we talk about, sometimes we don't. He's not throwing to them, especially in the red zone. I wanted to look at his red zone film, because that's where you kind of know. I don't care if it's a college quarterback, NFL quarterback. What do you do in the red zone? And I think Drake May is really, really good in the red zone. He's really good at that back corner of the end zone throw, which is a very difficult throw, as we already know. But a lot of the film from last year, he's really good at that rollout. That receiver's right there on that perfect route. He can put that ball almost at the perfect point of that triangle for that receiver to get that 1 foot in. And that for me is one of the most difficult throws you can make in the red zone, is that back corner throw, because it could either go out of bounds, sail on you, which happens to a lot of guys. Happened to a guy like Baker Mayfield quite a bit. That ball would sail on, because it takes a certain level of touch. Not every quarterback has that level of touch to put it in that back corner on a dime. I'll even give Daniel Jones his props, because Daniel Jones is actually very good at this throw as well. It's one of his better throws is that back corner throw like that. And Drake May is very good at that throw as well. Caleb Williams, they're not in the red zone enough, so I haven't seen enough of it.
Right.
So that's why I have no problem saying what I'm saying about Drake May. It's just from the enough of the film that I've seen now.
Yeah, and like I said, Mitchell Trubisky will haunt North Carolina quarterbacks till the end of time. So
I was very, very, very low on Mitchell Trubisky. I watched him. I was like, he's too erratic for me. He's way too erratic for me. But here's the thing. We said this back when we were just doing the audio version of Gentleman's Talk, and you'll probably agree with this. Every single year in the NFL, when the draft comes around, there's always a quarterback that's a trap.
Mm-hmm.
Trubisky was a trap that year. Trubisky 100% was the trap quarterback that
year. And he
year.
shouldn't have been a trap, which was crazy.
No, he shouldn't have been, but he was. And same, when you looked at the Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields draft, I still think Zach Wilson was the trap quarterback, because I don't think he was better than either of those two guys, but they tried to catapult him into that. He was not a top 3 draft pick. I do not think Zach Wilson 100. I don't think he was. No, not in that
top
draft.
3. No, probably not top. He was easily the second best quarterback in that draft.
If you want to tell me he was a first round draft pick,
yeah,
fine. But I'm not. I wouldn't have taken him top 10, but because there were other players in that particular draft that, especially the defensive side of that, was a very loaded defensive, and that was DN edge. Like, that was a huge draft for that, because really
people always reach when it comes to quarterbacks. So
they do, but there were 2 quarterbacks that we talked about the most, and of course we know Trey Lance also went in that particular one as well. Like, there were opportunities for other people to be drafted, but I thought the edge and the DNs in that draft, it was loaded. It was one of the more loaded defensive drafts we had.
It was a defensive heavy draft.
Yeah, since the Myles Garrett draft. Like, that was like one of the most loaded drafts since the Myles Garrett draft. So I was like, you didn't have to, but it happened. I don't know who the trap quarterback's going to be this year. I'm still kind of watching. Actually, from what I'm seeing, they're saying it may be who's that quarterback over there at who's Oregon's quarterback? He transferred. He was a transfer. Is it Bo?
Oh, it's
is it Bo Nix? Yeah,
it's Bo Nix.
Bo Nix maybe because he's come up in now. He was his first year. He was highly touted, and then he started to kind of, when he was at Auburn, but then he started to kind of fall by the wayside. And now he's coming back up in conversations again. So he may be the trap quarterback, but we'll see. I'm gonna identify him, and we'll see when it's time gets closer to the draft. You'll see me identify the trap quarterback, because I'll be finding them. They're always there.
Yeah. So let's get to we'll run through the AFC. run through the AFC first, and give our picks, dark horses, coaches on the hot seat, all that good stuff.
All right.
AFC East.
AFC East. That's a good one to start with.
Just give me division winner. We'll do division winner for each division, and then we'll give our Super Bowl pick to come out of the AFC.
All right. In this particular division, I'm gonna say, for the time being, I'm gonna still say give me the Bills until the Bills fall off the face of the earth, because they've been kind of been running this division for the last couple of years. And yes, the AFC East has gotten stronger. They really have. Like, everybody's gotten better in some facet. Even the Patriots defense has gotten better. With the fact that they let Christian Gonzalez fall to us, it's going to come back to haunt somebody. I'm telling you that right now. Christian Gonzalez is going to be, in the next couple of years, in that same conversation as one of the top defensive backs in football. It's going to happen. The film don't lie. Like, say what you want about, oh, he doesn't catch a lot of interceptions, this, that, and the third. His ball skills are huge. The guy's got a nose for the ball. He's really good at pass breakup, and he's a long body corner, which Bill Belichick absolutely loves. I like the additions that Miami has done as well. Their defense is going to get better. The whole Jalen Ramsey injury is going to throw them off a little bit, but they'll bounce back. And the Jets' defense was good last year. The problem is they were on the field too damn much because the offense was trash. Like, and I hate to say that because you had Garrett Wilson, who's the offensive player, like rookie offensive player, and you're like, but they're off. But offensively, they were kind of anemic. And that defense didn't get a chance to show how good it really was because they were always on the flipping field. But they still only gave up 18 points a game, which says a lot. So in that particular one, I'm still going to take the Bills. I still think the Bills are eventually going to fall off this cliff. But for now, somebody's got to knock them off first.
All right. Well, I'm going to go. I told you I did this before, and you're the Patriot fan, and I'm not. So I'm saying Bill and the Patriots going to take this division. They'll reclaim the throne that they've had for so long. And it's not going to be – I think what they're going to end up doing is they're going to shorten up a lot of the stuff that they do for Mac Jones. They're going to shorten up the routes. It's going to be a lot of quick stuff, heavy run game. They're going to get back to smash mouth football.
Yeah. Well, and I think Bill O'Brien is going to be a really big help for Mac Jones. Like, I don't like Bill O'Brien as a head coach. I do think he is a really good coordinator, so I won't knock him for that. I think he was. I mean, it's not like he's not new to New England. He's been there before. Seen him as a coordinator and a quarterback's coach. Like, he's good at that side, but as a head coach, he set the Texans back 15 years. Like, they're barely getting back on track since he did all that.
Yeah. So I think what they're going to do is a lot of short stuff. Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott are going to pound the AFC East into the ground.
Yeah,
that's what they're going to do.
That last comment that said where Moose said they should have kept Zappy. They signed both of those quarterbacks to the practice squad.
They're in the
they're both on the roster.
Malik and Zappy are both from the practice. Yeah. They're only carrying one quarterback on the active roster, which is very sketchy. I would never do that, but
I think that's simply by design. That's Bill doing some chess moves, because what I think is going to happen is with Malik, because Malik has the ability to also play wide receiver, so don't be surprised if they put him in that Julian Edelman type of a role. And then
that's what I thought they would have been
the backup.
That's what I thought what they would have done.
But you know Bill. Bill don't like tipping his hat early. That ain't his game. So I won't be surprised if this happens, but he may be saving that. Maybe that's something he pulls out against the Jets or against the Bills to get a leg up, or against even the Dolphins, because
But it's scary because somebody can sign Malik off of the practice squad. That's why I wouldn't have put him there. That was why it was kind of. I was like, if you carry the one quarterback, that's cool. But if Malik if you had him listed as a receiver on the active roster, at least should something happen, he's already there.
And we'll see how it goes. Moolage has the Dolphins winning that division.
I think
my problem with that is I don't like the fact that the Dolphins' success is tied to Tua, because anything can go wrong in that scenario. Because I don't think if Tua goes down, let's say week 4, I don't think the backup's going to be able to just carry them to a division win. Like, I just don't see that happening. And it's not like, is Sky Moore? Is Sky Moore still the backup? Or they brought in Didn't they bring in another quarterback as well though in Miami?
I'm not 100%. I would have to go look.
I think I have to look up the roster.
I just don't. The thing that I don't like with the two teams in the AFC East is that both of them are trying to build these massive super teams, and I don't think that's going to work. Between the Jets and the Dolphins, I just don't think it's going to work.
I think they're just under the pressure of because the Bills have been doing what they've been doing, and the AFC in general is a literal arms race. So you're trying to acquire as many weapons as you possibly can to just compete, because that's how strong the AFC. Like, don't be surprised if there are multiple 10-win teams in the AFC that don't make the playoffs. Like, that's how stacked the AFC is this particular season.
Yeah, so that's what I said. I got it. Patriots, Bills, Jets, Dolphins, and I think that's
Mike White. They signed Mike White. That's who the other.
They took another Jet.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
Just trading players in the division. It's kind of weird, but
yeah, it's like they made a trade. They brought in Kelvin.
Didn't they? Was he a free agent signing? I think he was a free agent signing.
Mike White was.
Yeah, because they didn't. Yeah. Oh yeah, because he was one of them head scratchers for me. Him and Taylor Heineke. I didn't like that either one of those guys didn't stay on the team there with last year, because I think they both were fine where they were.
I thought Heineke staying in Washington. We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
All right. Where do you want to go next? We did the East. Where do you want to go next?
Let's go down south. Let's go to AFC South.
The AFC South is very, very. That division is always weird. Like that, like Tennessee has won that division. You're like, all right, like they were like kind of they were like the best of the worst team the year they won it. But like I think it's Jacksonville's division to lose.
Yeah,
but I still think it's going to be close. Like in that, I don't think anybody runs away with this division. But I think
it's going to be the worst division in football outside of Jacksonville.
Yeah,
I think it's just going to be bad. It's just going to be bad. Like I have no faith in the Titans. I have no faith in
the Colts.
In the Colts, and
I'm done with the Colts. Like,
and the
I was
Texans
already done with the whole Jim Irsay thing. But then I'm sure you also saw what Chris Ballard came out and said too.
What did he say?
We were talking about the Jonathan Taylor thing. So his direct quote was talking about he didn't think that Jonathan Taylor's situation will hinder Anthony Richardson's growth, and he said, "Did it stunt Andrew Luck's growth without a special back?" So, like, they just continue to find ways to diminish. Like, they're trying to find ways to diminish the running back. And I'm like, listen, Ballard, y'all went out there and hired a rookie head coach in Jeff Saturday. Stop it. We've completely forgotten that part of it. Like, we don't even talk about that right now. Like, they're going into it with a rookie quarterback, a rookie coach, off the wall ass owner, and an entire running back debacle that we don't even know.
You have a top 5 running back, top 10 running back at least.
But you don't want to pay him, but you wanted first round compensation. You wanted to try to get Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins. And then the fact that Green Bay was in this conversation was the crazy part to me.
Like, because they already have Aaron Jones.
No, so they do, but I read deeper into it. Both those running backs are on the final years of their contract.
Well, they keep in one. And I think
but had
Aaron,
you brought
I think
in,
Corey
right?
Dillon, not Corey Dillon.
True, but you had an opportunity to figure out one, if AJ Dillon was going to pan out like you think he can, or if having a guy like which pairing would have been better. Like, do you want the boulder and the boulder, or do you want the boulder and the the fast guy? Because like Aaron Jones is like both, but he's the better pass catcher. But then you got Jonathan Taylor who can also do.
He's just an older version of Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, so it's like, but I just thought it was interesting that Jonathan Taylor was in the conversation with Green Bay. Like, I was just like, didn't see that coming. Like, if I go down the list of teams, Green Bay is not a team I would have thought of in the Jonathan Taylor conversation. Like, not at all. But it just goes to show you that they're trying. It seems like they're actively going to try to build around Jordan Love, which is the right thing to do.
Yeah,
but
we'll get
time will tell.
We'll get there.
And then Mulich also has the Jags as well.
Yeah, that division. Unless something really catastrophic happens, that shit should be very easy for Jacksonville to win that division.
Yeah, I have my bold prediction involves Trevor Lawrence anyway, so it's all right.
Yeah, and then the AFC North is that to me. That division. That's a bloodbath. It's going to be nasty in that division.
It's not even who wins. It's not even who wins the division. It's who survives.
Yeah, like I said it. If there's a division where it's possible for all the teams to make the playoffs,
it's the North. The North. I think the North is. They should have 4 teams in, but there's like a sneaking chance. You still look at like the AFC West and the East, and you're like, could 2 teams come out of now? 2 teams could come out of the West. 2 teams could come out of the East, but 4 literally could come out of the North.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's like that division is going to be hard. Like every game is going to mean something. Every game.
Yeah. Well, and the division games are like twice as important.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Your best bet is literally you have to split. Like if you can't sweep, you got to split because you can't afford 2 losses to either of your division rivals because it could literally cost you a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
Like it legitimately could.
Like I said, if Deshaun Watson is back to being Deshaun, the Browns are scary.
And the Browns have made the quiet moves that they made were the moves on defense.
Like Zadarius Smith and Myles Garrett coming off the edge with that secondary.
I really don't think people realize the whole Zadarius Smith thing and how big that actually is. Like that's massive. And the thing is, if you're the Browns now offensively, you really realistically
we're gonna get to NFC East in a second.
Yeah, like you just need to put up 21 points. I think your defense is good enough to hold teams to 14 points. I think they can. I think your secondary and your pass rush. Don't be surprised if the Browns are in the conversation for a team that leads the league in sacks. Like they could be in that top 3, top 4 conversation. It could.
Like we love talking about the Eagles defense. Now, I love the Eagle defense. I think the Eagle front 7 is probably one of the best front sevens we've ever seen. We haven't seen it on live yet. We haven't seen it yet. No. So,
but they lost players and they reloaded. Like, how do you replace veteran players with top of the draft talent? Like it's like a cheat code that the Eagles were able to continue to acquire Georgia Bulldog pass rushers. Like that's just insane.
It's nuts. But
I mean, that just kudos to them for taking advantage of the picks and what they did. Like it started with the whole AJ Brown signing trade last year. Like they've been building, and I think it's beautiful. But we'll talk about them when we get there. With this particular division, though, I'm gonna say give me Baltimore, and I'm gonna say that because Lamar Jackson finally has competent weapons, and he has a scary set of weapons. And I don't even care about. I'm gonna take OBJ and sit him over there. I don't even like OBJ is like icing on the cake because I don't expect anything more than 700 to 800 yards or so from him at best.
Oh no!
But I think this is where I think the drafting, of Zay Flowers is huge.
Yeah, no, he's
that little shifty bastard right there.
I said it.
He might he's going to be in that conversation with Bijan Robinson for Offensive Player of the Year. I'm gonna be that guy, and I'll say that because he's that dynamic of a player. But I think also having Rashad Bateman finally about as close to 100% as it's going to be. Mark Andrews being Mark Andrews, like Lamar has got an embarrassment of riches. Even if you want to throw Nelson Aguilar in there, hey, look, I don't need that much from Nelson Aguilar. I just need him to catch the damn ball. Like with the ball in his hands, he's dangerous. Like that's all.
That's all of their see. But this is what I was saying. I said when Lamar signed with the Ravens, with the offensive coordinator, with all of these weapons, I said Lamar is going to win MVP because
I said that on my car ride home today. I said Lamar is going to win his second MVP this year
because, like what you just said, the ball with the ball in his hands, Nelson Aguilar is a problem. But so is Zay Flowers, so is Odell Beckham, so is Devin Duvernay, so is Rashad Bateman. There's going to be,
but you still got the running backs. Like we ain't even talked about JK in them yet. Like, we just defensively they're going to have some struggles at first in the secondary just because of injuries, but you still got Roquan Smith, and you've still got players who can do what they do. So. But the thing that's beautiful about this now is the Ravens have always been known for their defense. Always.
Yep.
That's kind of something that's like the Raven way. It's kind of like the Steelers. It's like you know them for defense.
And I'm gonna give you a sneaky guy, sneaky guy.
Yeah,
Marcus Williams
mm-hmm.
at safety. He's not going to be Ed Reed, but he is going to be Ed Reed-like in that secondary.
Yeah, like now you have a situation where the Ravens can be a top 8 offense by scoring. A scoring offense, not just an offense, a scoring offense. Because I do think the Todd Monken effect is going to be big. Like Lamar could, if Lamar Jackson throws for over 4,000 yards this year and has 30 touchdowns, he's winning the MVP.
Easy.
Because I'm not even accounting for the rushing yet. I'm just saying passing. I'm not talking about rushing yet. The rushing is going to make him run away with the MVP.
I think he only rushes this year for maybe, and I say only because it's fucking Lamar, but he only gets 700 to 800 yards rushing. But they're going to be massive. Like, it's going to be when it happens.
I think Lamar gives you 4,000 passing yards, 900 rushing yards. He might get 1,000 if he breaks a few, but I also think he'll account for at least.
If he does that, the Ravens are going undefeated.
Yeah. I won't say undefeated, but they'll win this division.
If he gives you 5,000 yards worth of offense, they're going undefeated. There's no fucking way.
My only pushback is I still worry about the defense being able to be had against certain teams. And that's really, it's nothing to do with the offense. The offense needs to take this step up because I don't think the defense is back to what we're used to with Baltimore. But if it ever,
I think that front, when you talk about Patrick Queen, when you talk about Roquan Smith, our way on the outside, Clowney, if he can get his shit together.
Listen, like all you need from Clowney is 6 to 8 sacks. You don't even need a lot from him. If you can get just 6, let's just say 6. If you get 6 sacks from Clowney, you good because you're going to get the rest of the production from the rest of the defense. But Clowney gives you 6 sacks, you've done something. That's
all he needs to be is if he's disruptive.
I won't be surprised if Harbaugh does that and just says, you know what, I just want you to just do what you do and disrupt. Like if he just does that, don't set the edge. Don't just go in there and be disruptive.
Yeah, I think that'll. But if like I said, if Lamar throws for 5 and gives you a number G on the ground, just give him MVP and that Super Bowl trophy right now.
Yeah, that'll be ignorant.
That'll be super ignorant. AFC West. This is where it gets dicey because everybody didn't like my call on the AFC West. But I'm going to stand on it. I told you the Broncos is going to win this damn division. Well, that was before the injuries happened, though. So I got to kind of put that on pause.
The Tim Patrick and Jerry Jeudy injuries are unfortunate. But they did draft a really good young quarterback, too. I mean, a receiver in Mims, which will pick up some production for them. I like that kid a lot.
But I think the offense
is dangerous.
I think the offense is going to be way better this year.
Agreed.
We have to see what PS2 and that secondary does, and that defense. See how they pick it up. I think, like I said, I still, hopefully everything. But I had the Broncos win this before the injuries. I had the Raiders coming in second, Chiefs in the third, coming in third. Because eventually, like I said before, the wheels got to fall off. You can't keep losing all of the things that they're losing and keep it afloat. And I still don't believe – I think they're going to miss Bieniemy more than people want to admit. So that's and I need the Chargers to finish last because I need them to fire the head coach in order for Justin Herbert to take his next step. So this is not a thing of where I don't believe in the Chargers. I just want the Chargers to fail so they can fire that damn head coach.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I took my heat for taking the Broncos last year just because I thought what I thought, but I didn't think about what Nathaniel Hackett wasn't, which is he was inept as shit. But that's okay. As a play caller, it's one thing, but all in all, he'll be better. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna take the Chargers, and I'm gonna take the Chargers because I want to see Kellen Moore with a fully unleashed offense.
I want Kellen Moore to be the head. I want Kellen Moore to get the head coaching job.
Listen,
so I need.
We ain't even got to. We know how. we've discussed that on this show, how we feel about Justin Herbert's current coach. But I think if he can unlock this offense and they can stay healthy, because they've got a really good third receiver as well, because they drafted him and he's a very good receiver. So he also has the ability, if either one of those guys goes down, to literally step in that number 2 spot and be just as productive because of the way just because of his speed alone. But I think Austin Eckler is going to be on a tear this year. I think Austin Eckler is going to continue his lead on, touchdowns and everything else that he's had. But I think this is going to be a year where Justin Herbert's going to earn that contract that he just received. Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm going to be that guy. I will stand on it as much as I might regret it. But if that defense stays healthy, the Chargers will win this division, because the Chargers have everything they need to beat Kansas City, but they've never put it all together.
I just don't like the coach.
No, I'm throwing the coach out the window, not literally, but as far as like offensively, you've got Mike Williams, the Chiefs killer. They just can't seem to stop that dude. Like, it don't matter if it's in Arrowhead or if it's in SoFi. Like, Mike Williams, since it's like the same thing like when Derrick Henry plays Jacksonville. It's just like he just goes the fuck off, and there's no stopping it. But now, you not having Chris Jones is going to be a big deal for this team, because he accounted for a lot. He accounted for a lot of their pass rush and a lot of their sacks from granted, they had 55.5, I believe it was, last season. But they also lost other players that we don't talk about simply because Chris Jones is like the name. I hope he does not stay gone until week 8. I hope he does come back, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I think the Chargers do have enough offensively and defensively to.
Oh, they do. They just got a dummy holding. They got a dummy holding the controller. That's all.
Yeah, and they just need to. It's health. I think they can do it in spite of their coach. They just got to stay healthy. They just got to stay healthy, because if you get Khalil Mack and Bosa healthy all season long, you got J.C. Jackson, who was injured, which threw them off for a loop. If he stays healthy, you've got an elite safety back there. Like, you've got everything you need to unseat them. Mm-hmm. The question is, will Justin Herbert, because I'm saying right now, he's got to rectify that wrong from last year. He's got to rectify that 27-0 ass whooping that y'all let them come back and beat y'all for. You got to rectify that. And beating the Chiefs for the division would be the first step. But you can't go down you can't be up 27-0 in the playoffs and just choke that motherfucking game out. Like, you just can't.
Yes, you can, when fucking Sunshine is the goddamn quarterback on the other side.
Yeah, but you telling me that you couldn't put up no more points. None. You can't start off that hot and just fall off the face of the fucking earth. You just can't do that. Not in the playoffs.
Sunshine was hot.
He was. I mean, Chargers was literally walking inferno, because he capitalized on every turnover that Trevor Lawrence had in the beginning of that game. It's not like they didn't have the offense. You had Keenan Allen, who was amazing once he came back from injury in week 7 or 8 last year. Like, you had everything you needed to just blow the doors off of Jacksonville, but y'all start, and this being a coach as well, you start playing that game, that cruise control game. I'm waiting to see that game that's like a 27-0 game where that NFL coach says, you know what? Fuck it. Run this bitch up. Like, run the fucking score. Like, don't give them a chance.
That's
because if
you give them mentality.
Any breathing room whatsoever. Because guess what? It happened in the Super Bowl, the biggest game possible. You gave Bill Belichick this much space. That's the wrong answer. You give a defensive guy that much space, it's eaten. And what did they do in that Super Bowl? They ate. And then you got Tom Brady on the other side. Like, Bill Belichick said, look, Tom, I'm gonna orchestrate this defense. Offensively, you go to work. And
like, the worst thing you can do is give an offense confidence.
And
that is the worst thing.
You let Trevor and I like that Trevor Lawrence is the type of quarterback that doesn't get rattled. That's going to be a huge trait that's going to save him as his career goes on. Like, he's all right, I threw it 3 picks, whatever. Goes out and balls out, wins and over. Like, that's a phenomenal trait in a quarterback, because most quarterbacks will throw multi-interceptions and just check out.
Shut it down. Yep,
like, we've seen Aaron Rodgers do this. He'll throw his multi-interception games. He checks the hell out, because Tampa beat the brakes off him in that playoff game off of that pick 6, and he was just like, all right, I'm done. He was a different quarterback. But we've seen even Peyton Manning have multi-interception games and still kind of salvage the game. But I want to see. I do want to see Justin Herbert just do this. Like I do. I think he should be in that conversation.
I think he will. It's just I just don't want it to happen while fucking what is his name? What is it called?
Staley.
Brandon.
Brandon Staley. I didn't want to call him the Rods, but I knew it was Staley. But
I just want him gone, and then Justin Herbert can do his thing.
I mean, I do too, but their window just got a little smaller because you paid Justin Herbert all that money, and you got other payments that are coming up. So you're going to start losing talent. Now, granted, I think the Chargers can be an attractive destination if you play your cards right. But, Keenan Allen's probably got, let's be real, 3 years left of elite play before he starts to finally kind of decline.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to go anywhere else. I think a guy like him, he understands that the Chargers they're on, like you said, they're on the cusp. They're right there.
They are. You know what I'm saying? But you definitely got to take advantage and strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah. No. That's what I said. I think, but he wouldn't. What situation would he go to better than where he is and get the money that he wants?
Well, we don't know what kind of money
he'll have to go to a younger team.
If the right contender comes a calling, because if I'm a contending team and Keenan Allen's on the market, hey, bro, hey, man, hey, let's talk about it.
I'm definitely taking that.
Yeah, like I'm
really good receiver.
Yeah, but of a quote unquote contender team, they still would have to pay him the amount of money he would also want.
Yeah, but he's also
that would be the only problem because he's not worth the money no more.
His contract demands won't be as high because he is an older receiver.
Exactly, because he's an older receiver.
That's why
he's always injured.
But that's why I said him staying in San Diego, him staying in LA is the best option for him.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Definitely
Basically,
not wrong. Yeah, he'll make the most money with the Chargers unless somebody just says, you know what, fuck it.
Unless somebody really just blows the doors off and pays him. They just back the truck up on his ass, which I don't think. But
they need to pay Austin Eckler too. They need to quit playing.
I wish Wayne would. We got to find Wayne. Wayne has been ducking me ever since his comments. We're gonna find you, Wayne. All right.
You might see Wayne on Monday if he joined the live during the draft.
If he joined the live during the draft, absolutely.
Gonna be all kind of shit talking going on during the draft.
Just want to let you guys know that I'm out here, beautiful sunny Sacramento outside, about to watch these young boys in high school take off. Second game of the season, Jesuit at St. Ignatius. Oh, you got a little football Friday, right, fellas? Oh yeah, that Wayne cut down real quick. I said, let me go ahead and hop on. I got time.
Yeah. So we just wrapped up the AFC.
So who you got coming out of the AFC? That would be the next question. I'm gonna say I got Baltimore. Coming out there.
I'm gonna be that guy. I'm actually in the same boat. I am rolling with Baltimore. I like all the components. I think this is the year we finally get. We talked about it on this show. Give Lamar weapons and let's see what happens. You gave him weapons and a competent offensive play caller. This is where we see what we saw in college from Lamar. Lamar had the success he had in spite of the weapons he had. Now you gave him weapons and an offensive play caller. This is where we should see, Lamar just take off to a different stratosphere. And I want to see it. I genuinely would love to see like a Ravens Chiefs AFC championship game because I think it would be phenomenal. And then just to watch it happen. Because say what you want, but right now the AFC championship, to quote, unfortunately, Nick Wright, it is kind of like the Chiefs Invitational. It seems like the Chiefs are always there. I don't foresee that.
I want a rematch. I'm gonna give it. I'm gonna give you another. I want Lamar Deshaun 2. I want.
Ooh,
that's what I want.
In the AFC championship.
In the AFC championship.
Listen, if the Cleveland Browns make the AFC championship, the city of Cleveland will be on fire in a good way. Because that'll be the furthest they've made it in a very long time.
Because the only thing better than that game that they played in college is if it happened in the pros.
Yeah, it happened in the big one. I mean, I'm same sentiments as y'all. I had the Ravens as soon as I seen Lamar get hurt last year. I knew he was going to be on a tear. By the way, called MVP before the season even started.
So it sounds like we're all in that same boat, like with Lamar being
Ravens,
MVP.
sure.
So
definitely. He's definitely.
All I'm saying is NFL. If Lamar and company win this Super Bowl, y'all look out.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all look out, because boy,
it's gonna get crazy.
It's gonna be ignorant. Like, and it's not like a saying that like this is going to be like where Mahomes all of a sudden just falls off and the Chiefs stop winning. It's not the case because this is, and I'm content saying what I'm about to say. I think this current crop of quarterbacks that we have is going to be around for a while. And I think they're going to be more competitive than the previous crop.
Definitely.
Because the previous crop, we knew it was Manning and Brady that won majority of these things, and Rodgers sprinkled in a tad bit. But like they're even surpassing like the
Breezes here and there.
Yeah, but I mean they've surpassed the Russell Wilson and the I forgot his name already, Matthew Stafford. Like they've surpassed that crop just because we have a crop of young quarterbacks, and Patrick Mahomes is the oldest of this crop, and he's not even 30. So you've got, Jalen Hurts. You've still got Deshaun in this conversation. Lamar's in this conversation. Josh Allen's in this conversation. You've got freaking Justin Herbert's in this conversation. Like, you've got some up and comers now. Sprinkle in your Justin Fields and your Jordan Loves. Like you've got a lot of.
You got Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow.
Yeah. And then you can go ahead and throw Brock Purdy in there too. Like, you've got a really solid, strong crop of upcoming quarterbacks. Like, it's a situation where you feel like the league is going to be in good hands once, essentially really Rodgers. Once Rodgers is the last guy. He's the last one standing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the rest of the group after that is now it's the Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford group. They'll be the old heads. Rodgers is the last of the previous
right.
Yeah. So, but I do genuinely, I enjoy the current crop of quarterbacks that we have. And I just think the overall skill set, it's not just two guys. The fact that Lamar won an MVP in the midst of Mahomes doing what Mahomes does is huge. Like, it's like, all right, there's competition here, not insert Joe Burrow. Like Joe Burrow's in this conversation. Like it's so wide open that you won't be surprised if any of those top 6 guys win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years. Or
the league is a strong 12 quarterbacks deep.
I'll buy that.
Almost half the league has a very good quarterback.
Yeah,
elite quarterback.
Yeah. I'll definitely get by with that. That's actually pretty solid. It's just the AFC is top heavy.
Yeah, that's all.
That's really all it is.
That's really it. The AFC is top heavy, by a big margin for now.
I think
about it. We didn't mention Cody Pickett and Pittman.
We didn't.
Exactly.
We did not talk about Kenny Pickett yet. And if Kenny Pickett takes that next step this season, he's 100% inserted in that conversation. Only reason I didn't put him in there yet is because we didn't get it. We hadn't seen him make that, and he's not really. Nothing he does takes away from any of those other guys that we're talking about. Like nothing he does takes away from the Joe Burrows, the Lamars, like nothing like that. But he can.
And people still love the Justin Fields of the world.
Yeah, but he can, as we like to say, enter the chat, if you will.
Mulich.
Just making sure you didn't forget. Just making sure you didn't forget, big dog, because that's my boy.
And not to mention, we got rookie quarterbacks. We have, we'll see what they do. Now, I'm not saying they're going to insert into this conversation, but they're there. Mm-hmm. They're there. They're on the outside looking in, but they're there.
Yep. It's like I said, the quarterback position is very, 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 very stacked right now.
To know that almost half the league has their franchise quarterback
is
a
scary.
Beautiful thing. Because I think we could go back the last 20 years. I don't think the league has been in this type of position.
It really hasn't.
Now we're half the league
at it hasn't.
Because it's twofold.
If you honestly look at it, it hasn't. Like as far as the young talent and as far as the consistency of good
young quarterbacks though. Because normally it's older
young quarterbacks. Yeah. Mainly young quarterbacks.
Yeah. The fact, like I said, Mahomes is your oldest at 28.
Exactly.
Everybody else is younger. Everybody else is younger. So it's like, and it's not just that though they have their guys, they have pretty damn good teams around them. They at least have good to above average teams around them. So it's like there's at least 8 teams who could say that they have a legitimate shot to win the Super Bowl. Like at least 8 of those top 12 quarterbacks. There's 8 that could do it easily. There's 8 that could do it. And you won't be surprised if any of those guys win the Super Bowl because of how talented they are and the teams that they have. They've just had issues with, maybe their coach finally got fired or maybe finally they were healthy. Things like little things like, Hell, we almost had Brock Purdy in the damn Super Bowl last year. Like, let's stop playing games. If Brock Purdy doesn't get hurt, who's to say that the Niners don't beat the Eagles and we have the Niners in the Chiefs in a rematch? Like, who's to say that doesn't happen?
No, we in a good spot. This season is going to be good. Like, it's going to be good. Let's swing it over. Let's start the AFC West. We'll just we ended
the NFC West.
NFC West. My bad.
Oh yeah, that's almost a dumpster fire. It's not the worst
because, like I said, the AFC South owns that, and then the NFC West is coming up pretty close.
Yeah, you have two relevant teams. You got the Renaissance Man and Geno Smith over there with in Seattle, and then of course you got Brock Purdy and company in San Fran. Until proven otherwise, this is San Francisco's division to lose. Like, San Francisco is the favorite, but I did hear an extremely compelling discussion on the Herd today where they talked about on First Things First, and it wasn't Nick Wright that said it. Actually, was Eric Mangini said it. He said there is a world and a conversation where you could see the Seattle Seahawks in the NFC Championship, possibly even in the Super Bowl. Because you have a solid because so his reasoning, I heard it and I was like, but then the reasoning behind it was you've got Geno Smith, who's not gonna throw you out of, he's not gonna lose games for you very often. Not anymore. This is the new Geno Smith, not the old Geno Smith. The old Geno would have fucked it up in the first quarter. But you've got a really good young defense. They drafted well. They drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba, who's going to eventually become the number 2 when Tyler Lockett, because he's getting up there in age. So you've got competent offensive weapons. You've got 2 really good running backs. You've got a tight end that's not too bad. So they've got the pieces in place to win the games, to do it. And you got Pete Carroll with the experience. Of all of your NFC coaches, who has the most recent Super Bowl experience outside of obviously Philly? Like it's Pete Carroll. Like Kyle Shanahan has a lot of losing success in the Super Bowl. So he's kind of like, as a coordinator and as a head coach, but Pete Carroll's been on both sides. He's won and lost Super Bowl. So, but like we said, your quarterback has to be that guy in the playoffs, and I don't think Geno is there yet.
I don't know if I trust Geno not to make mistakes.
Yeah, but like I said, I heard the discussion. I was intrigued that a former coach said that. I was like,
yeah, I mean. I get it.
It's San Francisco's division to lose. Like, I mean,
yeah, I mean, but he said the NFC Championship game and Super Bowl. That's a lot for the Seahawks.
It is.
That's a lot.
I just wanted y'all to hear that because I saw it live and I wanted y'all to hear it.
That means somebody had to beat. Yeah, that means somebody had to beat the Eagles.
That means somebody choked. That's what that means.
So let's get the shitty ones out of the way. So let's go straight down NFC South.
Give me the Saints.
Saints got this. I mean, Saints got it. I mean, the Falcons aren't there yet.
Yeah. I'm gonna say they got it, but I won't be. Keep an eye on the Falcons. Mm-hmm. I still think the signings they had in the offseason, defensively, not offensively, were still pretty good. I'm not saying they're going to unseat the Saints, but because the Saints defense should carry them to at least 7-8 wins. Derek Carr should give you the remaining 2 to 3 they need, and they should still win this division.
Yeah, I just think the Falcons are inadequate at the main position. That would be quarterback. Like I said it last week, and I'm going to say it again. If they start the season off with Heineke at quarterback, then we got something to talk about. But they're not doing that. So
I think he definitely gives them a better chance to win.
Yeah, well, Heineke's proven. Heineke's got playoff experience. Like Heineke's and not to mention Heineke's, his Jays collection for every time he beats the team. Insane.
It grows.
Insane.
Honestly, I like the way he plays. He's a dog. He doesn't flinch or crumble in trouble in the eye of trouble. I think if they give him the keys, which they probably will eventually in the middle of the season, I think they might sneak that division.
Because if you look at what he did with smaller wide receivers, and I only say smaller because Terry McLaurin is like 6 feet 6'1".
Yeah.
But you've given him Drake London and fucking Kyle Pitts and homie came from the Raiders. Both his receivers are 6'5".
Yeah, but the problem is the coach. he won't open up the damn offense. They led the league in rushing last year, despite having those two monsters on offense. Like they treated Kyle Pitts like he was an afterthought last year. And I'm like, how? You have a freak of an athlete at tight end that should be in the same conversation with Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce, and he was an afterthought last season. And then he got hurt.
Yeah, like, most of that is quarterback. Like I said, if Heineke's the guy, one, he likes throwing his tight ends. That's number one. And two, he identifies who his best playmakers are, and he makes sure they get the damn ball.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were toting out Marcus Mariota last year. Marcus Mariota got a strong enough arm to at least, unleash a little bit. But he got hurt. He did, but then they ran the ball a lot, and it's fine
because they were running the goddamn ball so much.
But then you had Tyler Algier doing the damn thing last year. Now you've drafted, Bijan Robinson. Now you got two guys who are probably going to touch the ball at least 100 times apiece. Obviously, Bijan will probably get 250. So we'll see.
You got a solid young two-headed monster in your backfield now.
I think I won't be surprised if they limit Desmond Ridder to like no more than 25 attempts per game. I don't think he'll cross over 25. I just think
which is crazy given the weapons that he has.
I agree, but I think they're going to crazy.
So
I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Arthur Smith, but that's just what's going on.
NFC North.
The no.
I got the Packers winning this. Jordan Love is the
Bears.
You are tripping.
I'm not mad at the Green Bay pick because I do think Green Bay is kind of being written off. I'm gonna say it like that because unlike San Francisco when they had the whole Trey Lance thing going on, this is a different situation with Jordan Love, who's been sitting there for 4 years, developing, learning, and showing good signs. You can just go look at the film from just this past preseason, and Jordan Love doesn't look bad. He actually looks pretty good. And, the problem the Packers had last year wasn't the fact that his receivers were rookies. They couldn't stay fucking healthy. Lazard was hurt last year. Tight end got hurt last year. Romeo Dobbs' hamstrings never seemed to work. So they have enough in place for the Green Bay Packers to win this division. They do.
Yeah. And they get to run an actual offense because now they can run Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon and work the play action pass and do all of the things that, Aaron Rodgers wasn't necessarily – he didn't want to do because he's Aaron Rodgers, and that's fine. But now you get to work that offense.
Yeah, and I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to take Detroit.
Wow. I
like what Detroit's been doing the last 2 years. This is the year they've got to put it all together now. The acquisitions they've had on defense, that front seven is good. That's a good front seven. They just struggled with corner. They addressed half of the corner situation. They had some good signings.
Wow.
Like I said half because I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson's injured, so he's out for a little bit. But
you let Jeff Okudah go to Atlanta.
You did, but once they get once Jameson Williams gets his head out of his ass and stops betting on fucking football games, and you've got him and Amon-Ra, your 1-2 punch, they're going to be fine. And I think they have enough. And, you've got a tight end that we haven't talked about a lot as far as rookies go. And Sam Laporta, who has no competition there, another one of them Iowa guys, but he's a tight end that runs a 4.5, which is in the middle of the field. That's a weapon. A tight end running a 4.5 across the seam is a weapon. And I like David Montgomery as their one of their running backs. I have zero issue with that. And I love Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is a legitimate weapon. Like if Bijan wasn't in this draft, Jahmyr Gibbs would have went to the Falcons as a top 10 pick. Like it would happen because Jahmyr Gibbs is that good. The film speaks for itself. He's literally a guy you can put anywhere on the football field and he's going to be effective.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I think the Detroit has just enough of an edge. I do think this division is going to be close. I don't think anybody runs away. I think this division comes down to the last 4 weeks of the season as far as who wins this division. And that's why I'm taking Detroit at the end because just like last year, Detroit got hot at the end, but they were already so far down that it kind of didn't matter. That won't be the case this upcoming season. But
well, we all got 3 different outlooks on this. I don't know why Mulish likes the damn Bears, but it is what it is.
I like their acquisition.
I like the Bears.
They got some really solid pieces over there. In addition to DJ Moore, Justin Fields, their defense is looking pretty solid. I like it. I think they can make a few splashes. Now, I'm not going to say anybody's going to run away with this division per se. I do think, like GQ said, it's going to come down to the last few weeks. But yeah, for my pick, bro, I got the Bears or the Lions taking this division.
I mean,
a close third being the Packers.
The Bears got the best uniforms.
Defense got better, and their run defense was atrocious last year. Their run defense was like 30th last year, and they opened up the season against Green Bay. And I'm 100% starting Aaron Jones against that defense because he's gonna do what he do best.
So we're gonna talk. So we're gonna talk hella shit come Friday, Mulich.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be lit.
It's
gonna be lit, dog. You know it's gonna be lit. Like
100%.
It's gonna go down for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit on Monday.
NFC East, yes. NFC East. Yeah. So I said the Eagles will win this. I got my Commanders coming in second. Cowboys in third, and them damn Giants rolling up the back end of that. But it could switch very quickly. I can see Washington walking down the Eagles to win this division. But so
somebody pray for me, please. Because I'm taking the Cowboys.
Ooh.
I'm taking the Cowboys, and it's because of a few simple factors. One,
give it back, Dak.
The signing of Brandon Cooks is going to go a long way towards the overall success of this offense because
he's going to be hurt by week 3.
Listen, we know that Brandon Cooks gets tossed around like a toss-up at a frat party on Saturday, but when he's on, he's on. What it does,
Brandon Cooks
salad on a Sunday morning.
Brandon Cooks is Eli Apple's baby mama.
Hey,
just gets passed around. Let everybody hit. Let everybody hit.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Eli Apple's baby mom, if you listen and we had love for you.
But at the same time, I love it because last year the offense didn't get to fully do what they were going to do. You had Michael Gallup coming back from injury. He was never truly back to what he was. That's why the addition of Brandon Cooks is big because he's going to open up a few more things for a guy like Michael Gallup. CeeDee Lamb should do what CeeDee Lamb does. Their running backs are going to just become a group of interchangeable weapons for Dak to just toss the ball around. I do think Dak's season last year of the 15 interceptions was an outlier, 100%. You can look at his career. He's not a big interceptions guy. It's not his thing. He doesn't do what he did last year. So a lot of
the offense was totally different.
It was, but at the same time, I can tell you at least seven of those interceptions last year were the receiver's fault, even though it's a quarterback stat. We know that. We talked about that. But a lot of those picks came off of receivers popping it off their hands or hitting them in the chest. I saw that because I had to go watch the film to see. So I won't be surprised if Dak only throws like 6 or 7, maybe even 8 interceptions this upcoming season. So that's why I will say that. And I think defensively, that defense has one more gear to take. And I think they'll do it. I think this is the year where Micah Parsons will finally ascend even a tad bit further. He's put on a little bit more muscle, which he needed to because he is smaller, and it's weird saying that because Micah Parsons isn't small, but for the position he plays, he was small. But putting on the weight that he did will help him bear the load for the season because all the hits he was taking, his smaller frame couldn't handle it. Now that he's put on this more muscle, he's going to be in that conversation for Defensive Player of the Year and actually be like, all right, I can see it. So I don't like saying that because all my Cowboys friends are going to be like, oh my God, you picked the Cowboys. And I'm like, I'm just also going to stick with the history of this division. Nobody wins it twice. The last team that won it twice was the Commanders back in the 90s. It was a long time ago. And so it won't be the Eagles. And that's not like saying the Eagles aren't going to make the playoffs, but they're not going to win the division this year. If they do, cool. I'll be happy for them. But
I think if anybody wins this division other than the Eagles, it's the Commanders.
This is the only division where the prior winner fumbles the bag the next season.
Yeah, I say Washington can walk them down. I can see it.
I think so. I think Washington kind of sneak one out, and they might end up just stealing this whole division.
Yeah, and I mean they absolutely can. And something to note: last year, both games that Philly had against Dallas were close games. They weren't blowouts. They were close games. One of them, Dak didn't even play. So that's also why I'm like, yeah, there's a couple things now. Don't sleep on the Giants now. Like that Isaiah Simmons trade is going to be one of the sneakiest pickups right before the start of the season. Just because he's finally going to get used the way he was supposed to be used and not the way that Arizona was using him. So it'll help bolster that defense, and not to mention their first round pick from last year. Hopefully he really takes another step forward too. I'm not sitting there saying the Giants are going to win the division. I'm not saying that at all. But they'll be better. And Saquon will do what Saquon does. I hope he stays healthy.
They're gonna be ass.
But they still have Daniel Jones at quarterback, who I do not trust.
They're gonna be ass.
I can understand that Cowboys pick though. The defense looks a lot better, and I think with that.
The defense is gonna be legit.
And
it's gonna be really hard to score on those boys.
Yeah, give it back. Dak is not going. He is going to turn that motherfucker over. All day.
I truly hope that Trevon Diggs learns a lot from Gilly. I hope he does.
Which I think he will.
Like, stop giving up all the yards you gave up. Like, bro, get more pass breakups. Stop trying to get picks all the time. Get you more pass breakups and stop giving up so many doggone yards. That's all I'm going to leave it at that.
Honestly, just looking at the tape from off season and just the camp, he's gotten a lot better. Footwork, eyes, decision-making, instincts is just look a lot better. I think him in his third year is going to be a lot more. I think he actually gets the respect he deserves in this year.
And you're learning from a defensive player of the year that was a cornerback, which is a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
Like, I'm sorry, exactly. It is. Like, a corner being defensive player of the year is just a beautiful thing because that's a very difficult thing to do.
Very difficult thing to do.
Something that Darrelle Revis didn't do.
Could never think about doing.
Yeah. So
you got to be the best corner in the league to win defensive player of the year, Darrelle Revis, and you weren't the best corner in the league. Speaking of, hold on, because I could have sworn I issued a fade online since everybody want to tag me in Mel and they stupid as Darrelle Revis takes. And damn, it's crazy because my inbox on both TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, everything was empty.
Crazy.
So I mean, if y'all really wanted to talk, bro, it was looking like COVID 2020. There wasn't nobody on the street.
Yeah. Well, we got the invite to go on SB's show, so we'll talk about that.
Oh, okay. Bet for sure. We can go ahead and get into that because I'm just saying I issued the live fade and nobody wanted to pull up. It's crazy how that always happens, huh? But
who y'all got coming out the NFC?
Eagles till further notice.
All right.
I'm gonna say Eagles right now. Yeah, Eagles, honestly.
Pending health, and I hope it all pans out accordingly, because no, I'm not about to say Dallas. Hell no, I'm not going that bold. No. But winning the division is one thing. Going to the Super Bowl is a whole different thing, and the Cowboys are allergic to that. We
got Ravens 49ers 2.0. That's what we're doing?
Yes. I'm taking the Niners. I'm taking the Niners out of the NFC. I think Brock Purdy is going to do what he's supposed to do. They don't ask him to do too much, and he doesn't turn the ball over. So as long as the Niners don't get that thing that keeps biting them in the ass, which is quarterback injuries like a mug, the Niners will go to the Super Bowl.
So we're saying Ravens 49ers, are we saying right now?
I'm cool with that.
We'll do a mid-season adjustment.
That's a beautiful rematch, by the way, if that happens.
O-line scares me right now. The O-line really scares me right now, and I think that's the only reason why
for San Fran
keep getting hurt. Yes, for San Fran, their O-line really scares me right now.
I think their running backs will supplement that because their running backs are dangerous in space. So teams have to be mindful of. Because if I put pressure on you and you dump that ball off to Christian McCaffrey and he burned my ass for 35 yards, I'm not finna rush as hard because I don't want Christian McCaffrey in space. I don't want Debo in space. I don't want Jeff. Well, Jeff Wilson's currently injured, which is kind of a big deal. Not Jeff Wilson. No, it is Jeff Wilson. No, is that their backup? Isn't it Jeff Wilson?
What?
Or is that Miami's backup?
What, running back?
Yeah.
I think Elijah Mitchell.
There we go, Mitchell. But Jeff Wilson's in it too. But yeah, Mitchell was banged up. But they're also talking about limiting McCaffrey's touches, kind of like bringing him off the field a little bit more. So they're going to try to preserve him. But you better not preserve him in the playoffs. You better let that man run.
You're going to have to.
You better let McCaffrey eat.
That's what ultimately concerns me, honestly. I think anybody, and I don't want to say this, I know how hard it's going to be, but I think if anybody is going to knock the Niners off, it's going to be the Cowboys.
You think they get their revenge?
I think they get their revenge, especially this year with how their defense is and how the Niners O-line is specifically set up outside of Big T. They're not looking good, guys. I'm telling you right now, and it's going to be a really hard time if they don't adjust that problem in the season.
Okay, I can see that.
All right,
that's exciting.
We got Mooley look like he's flagging down planes.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know it, man. You know what I'm saying?
So I know we're on the cusp of closing out the show, but I've been thinking about this all day, and I wanted to push this towards both of you guys. And I want to get all three of our perspective on this too. Not our, but I want to get everybody's bold prediction for the season, whether it's for a team or for a player.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking about that. And I was like, what can we stand on to make some shit interesting? So my first one and my only one is going to be great for me. This is going to be good for Moose. Moose probably be happy about this one. But this season, Justin Fields will throw for over 4,000 yards. He will finally be that quarterback that the Bears have not had in their entire franchise history.
He will not throw for 4,000 yards.
And that's cool that you feel
count
that
on it. 4,000. Count on it.
Just be prepared if it happens.
My bold,
like I said last week, make sure you're ready to clip it if it happens.
Okay. My bold, who do I want to do this though? Because I got a couple guys in mind. I'll do it this way. I'll do this. I'm gonna stay home with this one. Stay home with this one. I'm gonna stay home with this one. With Devontae Adams breaks. Devontae Adams breaks Megatron's record this season.
With Jimmy G?
With Jimmy G.
With Jimmy G and Aiden O'Connell as a mix.
Yeah.
I feel like Jimmy G's not gonna make it through the season.
Hey man, I like that kid, Aiden O'Connell, man. That kid.
Hey, so do I. I know I was
arm, man.
I know I was roasting Brucey at first, dog. But
that's look. David Carr's that is David Carr's doppelganger. So we can do it.
I had to go back because they were hyping him up today, and I was like, let me go back and watch this. And I was like, okay, he's not that bad at all. Actually, he's not very mobile, but he's another.
No, see what's gonna happen is they're gonna put him in the game.
Really good, man.
He's a good platform. They're gonna put him. Like we talked about earlier.
Definitely.
They're going to put him in the game, and Devontae going to think that's David Carr. He's going to be like, that's my boy.
Yeah, that's my boy over there, man. I'm finna go crazy. He got that same number on. Yeah. Speaking of the Carrs, my bold prediction is Derek Carr not only leads the Saints to a division title, but he wins his first playoff game. And I'm sticking to it.
Hey, you know what? In the NFC, that won't be that hard.
Nope.
Because they can win the division and probably draw somebody interesting. I don't know who, but I can see that happening though. I want it for Derek Carr. So yeah, I do. I really do because I like Derek Carr. He's a good guy. He survived John Gruden just like Trevor Lawrence survived Urban Meyer. So
we will not talk ill of John Gruden on this show.
I'm not talking ill. I just simply said the word survive. That's all I said.
He survived the tragedy that is the Raiders. Like
that's true. Would you say he survived the Raiders if you want to go that route? Because he did survive.
The Raiders, bro.
He survived the Raiders.
Survived the Raiders. He got hard.
A lot of people's careers go to die with the Raiders. You know, like even Randy Moss was an afterthought.
We're still putting up 4,000 yards, man. I don't know what quarterback put up 4,000 yards for the Raiders consistently in the past 10 years, other than Derek Carr. So yeah, my boy, man, he's always special place in my heart.
That's what I said. Devontae snaps it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna get crazy with it. Devontae gonna go for 2K.
Two bands and the triple crown.
Two bands.
Ooh, I like
2-band triple crown. 2-band triple crown.
An hour 30 to an hour 39. Clip it all. That's all bold predictions. That's beautiful right now.
So we got to get rolling. Moolage. We're gonna get to this DB wide receiver shit next week.
I was gonna say, man, don't think you escape, man.
No, I know you
coming.
Look. See what he's doing right now. I want everybody to understand what Moolage is doing right now is research. He's watching DBs and wide receivers. he's doing research right now. I just want y'all to know that. So
I mean, if that's the case. They just got a pick 6 over here at this game I'm watching. So, hey, that only goes to show.
So,
what's going to happen next week is going to be real crazy.
This game is actually really crazy. Clearly, as y'all can see, we're going to have a fun time with that next week. We have our first game breakdown because the only game that'll be played will be the Thursday night game. So we're going to have fun breaking that game down.
So we're gonna break that down, definitely. We're going to touch on this college stuff as well because we got college games this weekend. We're going to dig into that. We will definitely. It's going to be a full football Friday next week. It's going to be jam packed. Be here, be early, and stay because it's going to be.
And make sure you
fun. We're going to have fun next week.
Oh yeah.
Any final words, fellas, before we wrap this up?
100%.
I'll give you guys some live analysis from this game before I cut out, man. Jesuit is just took a 7-3 lead over St. Ignatius via pick 6. St. Ignatius was on the 20. They threw it out. DB jumped it. Really, really great read by the young DB. Took it 65 yards back to the crib. It is now 7-3. First quarter, 1 minute left. I'm going to go ahead and sign off, guys. Appreciate you guys.
All right, bro.
That's a sensational pick 6. Keep your notifications on. Monday we have the Dynasty draft for From the Sidelines. It will be live. It's gonna be so hyped that we actually push basket to basket back one day. So that's a big deal. That's what we're doing on Labor Day. So while y'all chilling, recovering from the barbecues and stuff this weekend and hungover and all that stuff, come hang out with us. Check this draft out. Jump in the chat. Chalk your shit. It's gonna be fun. We all gonna be here. And it's a lot of football this weekend. I'm telling you right now, the fact that TCU game and that TCU Colorado game is the Colorado's like a 20.5 point dog. I ain't buying it. Yeah, they're not gonna lose. They're not gonna lose by 3 touchdowns. They're not losing by 3 touchdowns.
No. Hey, we're gonna talk about it. Like I said,
I'm just saying what I said, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Like I said, I believe in Coach Prime, and I said it when they hired him. I said Colorado will be in the hunt for the national championship, which means they have to be a top 4 team by the end of the season. They'll be a top 4 team by the end of the season.
All right. OG Mel with another bold take for college.
Yeah, I got to. I stepped out for my man, Coach Prime. That's what I got to do. But other than that, like I said, tune in Monday for the fantasy draft. That's gonna be lit. We're gonna turn out. I'm gonna be drunk that night. I'm gonna do it for that. And then Friday, Football Friday, me and Moolage, the great debate. It is happening. We had to put it on hold today. We do apologize for that. Things come up, but next week it happens. With that, we are signing out. The boys are gone. Told you I had to put the X hat on because this is what I played. I was the X receiver. I had to take that, from the sidelines hat off. I got the X. This will be back on. I'll pull this back out next week. But we coming. I'm coming for him. I'm coming. We out of here.
I'm just gonna moderate.